The Vrelak flagship drifted in silent orbit until every alarm on the bridge screamed at once. On the command deck, crew members froze. The alert was unprecedented, a pheromone-based surrender from a senior envoy.
Commander Vex to bridge. Someone tell me why Envoy Kresh Tool is broadcasting a capitulation signal from the heart of Earth.
The pheromone readout was unmistakable, a cascade of distress and submission markers, all from the envoy's implant.
That old warrior survived 3 wars. He doesn't scare. Whatever they did to him down there, it broke him.
The ship's AI correlated the data with the envoy's translation log. No weapons fire, no physical trauma. Just an escalating wave of terror.
Then Earth has used some psychological weapon. We won't wait to be next. Open a channel. Priority Alpha.
A blunt message formed in the comm queue. Humanity will explain this act of aggression or face immediate military response. Red alert lights bathed the bridge as the fleet moved to combat posture. Weapons hot, the ultimatum shot toward Earth, where no one had any idea they'd just terrified an alien empire into submission. 6 hours earlier, the Earth diplomatic complex in Geneva was a portrait of calm, completely unaware of the coming storm. Inside, Ambassador Patrick Reeves waited by his desk, mentally reviewing the stakes, a trade vote that could secure Earth-rare mineral systems for decades.
Envoy Kresh Tool, welcome. I've read much about the Vrelak Coalition's sophisticated cultural traditions.
Ambassador, your reputation for directness precedes you. I trust this exchange will prove enlightening.
Before the vote on mineral access, I thought you might appreciate a taste of human diplomacy. A cultural exchange.
Cultural exchange? I had hoped for something graceful. Your ballet, perhaps. My people treasure such refined performances.
Not ballet. A sporting event. Rugby, it's called. A demonstration of human athleticism and teamwork. Very dynamic.
A game? I trust. It's not too barbaric. Some species confuse brutality with competition.
Rugby is a cherished tradition. Nothing to worry about. Our private theater is this way. Shall we?
Kresh Tool followed, clutching his translator pad like a lifeline, still expecting something akin to a Vrelak dance recital.
Ambassador, my translator renders dynamic as involving high-energy contact. Is this display interactive?
Spectators watch, players interact. It's a contained system. Rules ensure safety.
Rules for safety. My translator just cross-referenced and suggested a Vrelak combat rite, but those have no safety.
They reached a modest door marked only by an illuminated cultural exchange symbol, and Patrick pressed his palm to the scanner. The theater was intimate. 2 oversized chairs angled toward a wall-sized display, ambient light fading to deep blue.
No ceremonial preface, no musical prelude. You humans start events with startling abruptness.
The display thundered to life. A bird's-eye drone shot over a colossal arena. The crowd, a sea of waving arms and painted faces.
That sound. My translator identifies at least 9 Vrelak threat postures vocalized simultaneously. Is this an intimidation display?
Relax, they're cheering. It's an expression of joy in human sports. You'll get used to it.
On screen, 2 teams in black and green jerseys sprinted onto the pitch, and the stadium erupted as a lone referee raised a whistle. The whistle blew, and within seconds, 2 human forms crashed together with a sound that echoed through the theater. A tackle at full sprint.
Are those soldiers? They wear armor only on their heads and nothing on their torsos.
Professional athletes. That was an opening tackle. Perfectly legal. Very standard.
My translator says, no weapons deployed, impact classified, sporting contact. Can that be right? Sporting contact. My people use that term for unarmed duels to the death. What kind of species calls this sport?
Another collision. This time, 3 players from opposing teams collided in a maul, shoving with raw power.
Contact, like combat training. How do they not break bones every time they touch?
Oh, they do break bones sometimes, but that's the game. It's a contact sport, Envoy. very dynamic.
Kresh Tull's claws dug into the armrest, his gaze fixed on the screen as another bone-rattling hit landed. Patrick only smiled, sipping his drink as the match continued, the alien envoy now visibly trembling. On screen, a scrum collapsed into a grinding stalemate, 16 bodies, straining until the turf itself tore beneath their cleats.
My translator now reads, regulated pushing of opposing forces. Pushing, they are trying to snap each other's spines.
That's the scrum, a contest of raw power and technique. The front row absorbs incredible pressure.
Incredible pressure. My species' execution pits involve less sustained brutality than this. Game.
Kresh Tull's claws dug deeper. The armrest fabric gave way with a sharp rip.
Watch the hooker. He's trying to heel the ball backwards with his foot. Pure instinct under strain.
You told me this was culture. How is organized assault not a declaration of war among humans?
Because it's consensual. Every player signed up for this. They love it.
Love it? They crave this violence. These are the ones you send to negotiate peace.
Patrick's calm eyes flicked to the screen, ignoring the translator pad that now flashed an alert. Threat level, unknown. The envoy's trembling had become a visible shudder. On screen, a high elbow caught a player across the brow. Blood streamed down his face in seconds.
He's bleeding. Why doesn't he stop? Your medic should extract him immediately.
The translator pad lit up with data. No weapons deployed. Injury deemed non-critical.
It's just a scratch. They'll stitch it at halftime. He'll be back on after 10 minutes.
Superficial. That is an open wound. Among my kind, we would halt any ritual for such an injury.
On screen, a medic wiped the wound, slapped on a bandage, and the player jogged back into the fray.
They ignore pain like it's a distraction. What kind of creature can suppress survival instinct for a game? What do they win? What is the prize for enduring this?
A silver cup. They don't even get to keep it.
Kresh Tull's claws carved grooves into the armrest. His translator pad emitted a single low tone, a warning of imminent biological stress. The screen froze on a halftime score of 15-12, the arena's roar fading to a tense silence in the theater.
Popcorn. Earth tradition during sports. Lightly salted. Completely safe for your biology. I checked.
You consume recreational matter during this? My species has no word for edible entertainment. A silver cup, a temporary trophy. They sacrifice blood and bone for a symbol they give away. Insanity.
The halftime clock ticked down, and Patrick crunched another handful, without a care.
Second half starts in 30 seconds. It gets a bit more intense. Teams are tired, so mistakes cost more.
More intense, Ambassador? I am not certain my constitution can endure additional intensity.
You'll be fine. It's almost over. Just 40 more minutes.
The whistle blew again, and the second half exploded with a tackle that sent a player airborne. Kresh Tull's translator pad glowed red again, and a thin, acrid mist began to seep from his implant. The first trace of pheromone, a try-saving tackle, erupted on screen. A full-body collision that folded the attacker backwards and drove him into the turf shoulder first.
He is not moving. His arm is twisted at an angle. No joint should allow. My translator now reads, legal tackle. Possession disrupted. Disrupted, they have shattered him.
That'll be a yellow card. High tackle. Dangerous play. The referee will show it now.
Medics sprinted onto the pitch, a stretcher trailing behind them as the downed player's teammates knelt in a silent circle. The mist from Kresh Tull's implant thickened, and a low hiss escaped his throat, an involuntary sound his species made only in the presence of overwhelming threat.
I cannot. This is not culture. This is a display of species-wide endurance I was not prepared for.
He'll walk again. Modern medicine works wonders. The game must go on.
The game must go on. You treat shattered bones like a pause for refreshment.
The implant's glow became constant. The pheromone alarm, now a silent scream only his ship could read. The stretcher bore the injured player away, and the crowd applauded respectfully. But Kreshtul only saw a battle casualty being removed from the field.
Ancestors of the great desert, accept this fallen warrior. He fought with bravery against incomprehensible brutality.
Relax. Envoy. A dislocated shoulder at worst. He'll be sprinting again in 4 to 6 weeks.
4 to 6 weeks. Your species treats catastrophic joint failure as a minor inconvenience.
The implant's glow intensified, and a cloying metallic scent, like burnt circuits and fear, filled the air. Patrick's nose wrinkled.
That odor, burnt metal and something sour. Your implant's not overheating, is it?
I am surrendering, Ambassador. My body releases the capitulation pheromone. I have lost control.
On the theater screen, a line out formed as if no tragedy had occurred. Kreshtull's implant now bathed him in a faint orange aura. Kreshtul sagged bonelessly into his chair, his yellow eyes glazed, the pheromone alarm now a visible shroud around him. Patrick looked from the shimmering alien to the screen, still not understanding the diplomatic catastrophe unfolding. On screen, the final whistle blew. Players collapsed into embraces, exchanging sweat-soaked jerseys like ritual offerings, while the stadium roared with primal joy.
They celebrate carnage. What manner of beings find intimacy in shared violence? My people would call this madness.
Aboard the Vrelak flagship, the pheromone's signature spiked to critical levels on the biological warfare monitor, triggering a cascade of alarms.
Full analysis. Now, why is the Envoy surrendering, and where is the battle?
The AI's report scrolled across the command display. Envoy Kreshtul, surrender pheromone confirmed. No weapons fire detected. Psychological trauma triangulated.
They broke him from orbit without a shot? What kind of species can force capitulation through pure psychological assault?
He turned to the communications officer, his voice dropping to a grim command.
Priority channel to Earth. Humanity will explain this forced surrender or face immediate military response. Transmit now.
The ultimatum fired toward Earth, where the evening skyline of Geneva glowed, completely unaware of the storm about to break.
If they can make a veteran surrender without bloodshed, we must never engage them in close quarters. Prepare the fleet for a standoff engagement.
On the bridge's main viewer, the drafted ultimatum scrolled in stark Vrelak script. Humanity, explain this act of aggression or face fire.
The Envoy's log just updated. His translator recorded a chant for the dead. He was praying for humans as if they were already lost. So they force our people to recite burial rites before a shot is fired. What kind of monster fights with psychology alone?
Commander Vex's claws tightened on the armrest of his command chair, his mind cycling through every stealth murder species in the archive.
We won't give them close combat. Set fleet to maximum standoff range. If they attempt to board, self-destruct.
The tactical display shifted to a dispersed formation, weapons trained on Earth's orbital envelope. A communications officer spoke, voice tight, message delivery confirmed. Earth has received the ultimatum.
Then we wait. If they value their envoy's sanity, they'll comply. If not, we prepare for the worst.
The bridge crew exchanged glances. No one had ever seen the commander this rattled on a secondary console. A hologram of Earth pulsed with an unacknowledged message marker. The icon still blinking. The theater lights rose, and Patrick Reeves finally turned away from the dead screen. The sight of Envoy Kreshtul made him pause.
Envoy? Hey, are you all right? You are glowing. And that smell, what is that?
Surrender. I have surrendered. Please, do not inflict further culture upon me.
Patrick's mind raced. The metallic scent, the mist, the whispered word. This wasn't a diplomatic incident. It was a biological declaration. His communicator vibrated sharply against his thigh, shattering the silence with an urgent priority alert. He snatched it, and the screen lit up with a priority message from the Vrelak flagship, the text cold and direct. The message read, "You have forced our envoy to capitulate. Explain immediately or face immediate military response. You have 60 of your minutes."
They think the Rugby was an attack. A damn silver cup. And now they're ready to fire on us.
He glanced at the catatonic envoy, Then, at the blinking icon on his communicator, 5 minutes to respond. One wrong word would start a war. Patrick exhaled, forcing his brain to shift from diplomat to tactician. The weight of a planet settled on his shoulders. Patrick knelt, gripping Kresh Toll's trembling shoulder. His earlier amusement had evaporated into cold focus.
What did you see? Tell me what we did.
The scrum. They threw bodies into a pile. The referee sanctioned it. They called it a game.
The communicator in his hand buzzed again. A second message from Vrelak Command, the icon pulsing like a heartbeat. Humanity. This is your final warning. Surrender the envoy or explain your assault. You have 5 minutes.
Assault. They think a rugby match was an attack. If I tell them it's just a game, they'll never believe me. They'll think I'm mocking them. But if I play along, I can turn this into the greatest diplomatic victory Earth has ever seen. They're already terrified.
His eyes narrowed, and a cold, cunning smile replaced his earlier bewilderment. The weight on his shoulders shifted into leverage. He strode to the theater's comm panel, his finger hovering over the activation switch, a quiet breath escaping his lips. Whatever he said next would either save Earth or ignite a war. He pressed the button, the channel opening with a soft beep.
Commander Vex, this is Ambassador Reeves. We received your message. We hereby accept the unconditional surrender of the Vrelak Coalition as tendered by Envoy Kresh Tool.
You accept. We were prepared for war. Not
Under the terms of Vrelak Martial Code, surrender requires cessation of all claims, including mineral systems Alpha -7, Beta 12, and Gamma -4.
those are our richest mineral reserves. You would cripple our economy for whatever you did to our envoy.
The Vrelak Code is clear. The victor sets terms. We will provide safe passage for your envoy and a full cultural debrief.
Behind Patrick, Kresh Toll whimpered, his translator pad flashing a single pitiable glyph. Mercy.
We accept. Just, please do not repeat whatever you did. We will never threaten your kind again.
Patrick ended the call, the Vrelak crest hologram flickering out. Silence returned to the theater, thick with the scent of surrender. He allowed himself a single, sharp exhale, then straightened his polo. Geneva would be hearing from him within the hour. In his office, Patrick activated the secure channel to Earth General Command, the Vrelak crest still glowing on his display.
General, this is Reeves. The Vrelak Coalition has tendered an unconditional surrender.
The line crackled with static, then a flabbergasted voice demanded to know if this was a prank.
No prank. I screened a rugby match. The envoy experienced autonomic terror, released a surrender pheromone, and his fleet threatened to fire unless we accepted.
Silence. Then laughter, genuine, disbelieving laughter, echoed through the secure channel. Patrick allowed himself a small, tight smile, the first in 6 hours.
They agreed to cede mineral systems, Alpha -7, Beta 12, and Gamma -4, plus a permanent non-aggression pact. I need a treaty drafted immediately.
The laughter on the other end died instantly, replaced by a commander's sharp focus. Patrick leaned back in his chair, the weight of the day finally settling into a manageable burden. A treaty ceremony was scheduled for the next afternoon. Earth had won a war it never knew it was fighting. The Vrelak formal treaty draft arrived, its text scrolling across Patrick's office display. Article 12 pulsed like a victory banner. The clause read, "This treaty prohibits the demonstration of any human cultural activity to Vrelak citizens, effective immediately."
They're terrified of another rugby match. They've weaponized our culture in reverse. We show a game. They surrender.
The Earth General's voice crackled over the comm, disbelief lacing every word. You got them to surrender by showing a rugby game. Unarmored apes tackling each other for a silver cup.
Technically, they surrendered themselves. I just facilitated the misunderstanding and secured 3 mineral systems.
The General's laughter held a note of awe. Then his voice hardened into command. Approve the draft. But you are handling the ceremony. I am not stepping near those orange spooks after this.
Copy that. I'll handle the Vrelak. Just make sure the press knows we didn't fire a single shot.
He saved the document and sent his confirmation. The virtual signing ceremony was locked for the next afternoon. The ceremonial hall of the Geneva complex was draped with Earth and Vrelak banners, a holographic treaty hovering above the central table. Commander Vex extended a trembling claw toward the stylus, his orange skin still pale from the previous day's horror.
By decree of the Vrelak Coalition, I affix my seal. May the ancestors forgive this necessary surrender.
Patrick's hand moved with practiced ease, his signature crisp beside the Vrelak glyph.
Ambassador, I must ask, forcefully, that your people never again demonstrate your culture to ours. We cannot endure another such revelation.
Understood, Commander. You have our word.
Cameras flashed, capturing the moment for every news feed across two civilizations. The Vrelak media called it a tactical error. Earth called it a miracle. As the ceremony concluded, Vex leaned close to Patrick, his voice a low tremble.
What you did, we have no defense against it. We will never forget, but we will never threaten you again.
Patrick gave a single nod, his half-smile unreadable, as the Vrelak delegation filed out, leaving Earth with 3-star systems and a very useful misunderstanding. As the last Vrelak aide disappeared through the doors, Patrick fell into step beside Commander Vex, his tone light and conversational.
By the way, Commander, the Andromedan delegation arrives Tuesday. I've already arranged a cultural exchange for them as well.
Cultural exchange. You swore no more demonstrations. What abomination will you inflict on them?
Relax, it's a different sport. Australian rules football, quite distinct from rugby. You should see it sometime.
Distinct. Will there be more? Unarmored collisions? Do they also bleed for hollow trophies, like your silver cup?
Well, they leap high, run hard, and yes, there's contact. But no one dies, usually. It's very athletic.
Vex's claws clamped around Patrick's wrist, stopping him, his yellow eyes wide with utter desperation.
I beg you, do not show them. We barely survived your rugby. You will shatter the Andromedan psyche completely and permanently.
He pulled his wrist free and strode away, the commander's stammering protests fading behind him in the empty hall. In his office, his communicator blinked with a new message from an unfamiliar contact. Ambassador Lear, Andromedan delegation. The exchange was confirmed. Ambassador Lear's message read, "We have heard of your effective diplomacy with the Vrelak. We accept your cultural invitation with great anticipation."
Ambassador Reeves, the Vrelak Treaty has become legendary. We must experience this human custom that inspires such surrender.
Ambassador Lear, I assure you, it's a uniquely human tradition. I've selected something quite different. Australian rules football.
Australian rules. Does it involve physical exertion? Our species communicates through synchronized light, but we admire vigor.
Oh, it's vigorous. High marks, hard runs, the occasional spectacular collision. No padding, just skill and courage.
Collisions without armor. Your species is endlessly fascinating. We will prepare a full delegation. This exchange will be historic.
They have no idea. Another treaty. Coming right up. I'll schedule the screening for next Thursday. You are in for a real treat, Ambassador. Earth looks forward to deepening our ties.
He swiped to a file labeled AFL Grand Final, Melbourne versus Carlton, and set the playback for the appointed date. The Andromedan delegate's hologram flickered off, leaving Patrick alone with a smirk and a fresh page in his growing playbook of diplomatic sports. Patrick leaned back in his chair, the silence of his office a welcome reprieve. He pulled up a clip from the rugby match, the precise tackle that had broken Kresh Tool.
That scrum, the look on his face. I've never seen an alien pray for mercy over a penalty call.
He let the clip replay, the thud of bodies filling the room, and allowed himself a genuine chuckle, the first since the ceremony.
A silver cup. They don't even get to keep it, and they call that barbaric. Wait until they see ice hockey.
He swiped to the left, and a file labeled NHL Finals, Game 7 appeared. Its thumbnail a clash of skates and sticks.
If only the Vrelak knew about the Stanley Cup, or the Andromedans about Australian rules. Earth's sports are a diplomatic arsenal.
He minimized the hockey file and opened the AFL Grand Final video, the frozen image showing a high mark, a player suspended impossibly above a pack.
Next Thursday, Ambassador Lear, you are in for a rude awakening. Don't say I didn't warn you.
The final score of the All Blacks versus Springboks match flickered in a corner of his display. 15-12, a quiet monument to the weirdest victory in human history. He killed the lights, leaving only the still frame of a soaring AFL player and the promise of another accidental conquest. 1 week later, an elegant translucent Andromedan vessel materialized in high orbit, its arrival announced by a soft chime on Patrick's console. In the private theater, Patrick adjusted the display settings, a still frame of an AFL mark frozen on the massive screen, a human suspended against gravity. He opened the comm link, and the Andromedan delegate's holographic form flickered into existence beside the chair, a floating bioluminescent jellyfish of light.
Ambassador Reeves, our delegation is assembled. We have been told this experience is unforgettable.
That's one word for it. The sport is called Australian rules football. You'll notice it's quite dynamic.
The screen flickered to life with a bird's-eye view of the Melbourne cricket ground, 100,000 voices roaring as the ball was bounced.
Such organized chaos. And they are leaping onto each other's shoulders? Is that permitted?
Permitted and encouraged. It's called a mark. The game's just getting started.
A huge collision on screen, a player marking the ball and crashing to the turf. Lear's tendrils twitched violently, the first sign of biological alarm.
His appendages, did they break? Your species finds this entertaining?
The siren blared across the Melbourne cricket ground, a wailing note that made Ambassador Lear's hologram ripple violently.
What is that noise? Is it an alarm for the injured?
That's just the first bounce. It means a goal was scored. The game's barely begun.
Lear's bioluminescence flickered erratically, a panicked pattern his species used to signal incoming danger.
The violence is scheduled. This is not a battle?
No, it's a sport. And this is considered a gentle start. Wait until the tackles in the second quarter.
Lear's hologram began pulsing a distressed frequency, an involuntary biological alarm. Patrick sipped his drink, his smirk widening. On screen, another player launched skyward for a mark, and the crowd's roar shook the theater, fade to black with the sound of a whistle. The cycle of accidental conquest had begun again.